must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Good Morning Africa. The television station, of course, is Punchline Africa TV, and my name is Miriam Mugutu. Thank you so much. And so, being a Monday, that means we have so much to talk about. Being that over the weekend we had a lot of political or a lot of things that happened, news making headlines over the weekend. So we are going to look at some of that today when we shall be turning our attention to the headlines of the three major newspapers here in Kenya. That is the Standard newspaper, the Daily Nation, as well as the Star. But first, before we get into that, let's first look at statistics and see where do we stand in regards with COVID-19 in Kenya and also in Africa. So Kenya, this morning, their confirmed cases stands at 44,881 cases. The death toll is 832, and the recovery rate now is at 31,857. Uganda, the figures have gone to 10,590 cases. 97 people have died in Uganda, and recovery is at 6,992 people. And in South Sudan, 2,842. I don't know if South Sudan, they've been able to contain COVID-19, or I don't know the status of their testing there, because it has been at this point for quite some times now. I'll check and see what's really happening there in South Sudan, and if they've been able to contain, good for them. And the figures right now stands at 2,842. The death toll is 55, and recoveries is 2,604. In South Africa, being the leading country in Africa in terms of the number of confirmed cases and also the number of deaths, the confirmed cases right now in South Africa stands at 703,793 cases, and the death toll is 18,471 cases. Recoveries stands at 634,543 cases there. And then we see Nigeria, 61,440 cases. 1,125 of those have died. Recoveries is at 56,611, and the total cases in Africa this morning stands at 1,607,200 cases. The number of people who have passed on in the continent due to COVID-19 stands at 39,100, and recovery so far is at 1,324,220 cases. And the global statistics right now, the number of confirmed cases globally stands at 40,282,605, and the global deaths is at 1,118,330, and the global recovery stands at 30,120,598 cases. So that is where we stand in regards to COVID-19. And just to look at the latest in Kenya in terms of COVID-19, of course, the figures have continued to go up, and it should be a worrying trend to every Kenyan who is out there walking and not thinking about the importance of keeping themselves safe by wearing the masks properly. People have disregarded some of these measures, and I think that has gone a long way in contributing to the high figures we're now seeing. And yesterday, of course, the Ministry of Health sounded an alarm. So let's just get into it. And the story is on page 2 of the Star newspaper update. It says, COVID-19 update, Kagwe warns of severe disease as ICU admissions jump. I think this should sound enough alarm to Kenyans who thought that we have been, we are done with COVID-19. So let's just read that on page 2 of the Star newspaper. And we need to reflect on these numbers, and especially the rising positive cases and deaths. If we don't mean anything to us, then please let our loved ones count. These were the words of Health Minister C.S. Mutahi Kagwe during the daily COVID-19 update at Afya House on Sunday. Now, the National Emergency Response Committee held a meeting on Sunday to relook at the rising infections, and he's quoted there saying, "Fellow Kenyans, let's get prepared for the long haul. This is not going to be a short-term issue," Kagwe said. The country recorded 685 new cases, and the highest figure since the containment measures were relaxed by the president in September 28th. 7 people succumbed to the virus, raising the fatality to 832 cases, and modeling teams say the country is witnessing a second wave of infections, a development that is likely to see the government re-escalate the measures that had been relaxed by the president. What is even more worrying is that the current infections are more severe, with an increase in the number of patients being admitted in hospital and those currently in ICU. If you also look at the critical care, we have been having numbers below 10, but as of Sunday, we were having 28 people in ICU, 10 under ventilator support, 14 on supplementary oxygen, and 4 under observation. Health DG Patrick Amoth added there during yesterday's press conference. I think it's about time that Kenyans really started taking this disease seriously. There's a time we really worked on how we were operating in the public, and we sort of adopted to the new norm, but we've seen right now a lot of us have gone back and act as if things have gone back to normal, which is not the case. And of course, I was watching the news yesterday, and there was a particular news item. One of the reporters was just going around the clubs, the restrictions that were put on the temporary ban that was put on bars and restaurants not to operate or not to sell alcohol. So that was lifted on the 28th of September, and you can see that those places are packed, and the owners of these establishments, they really don't care what's really happening in there. And that was the sad part of it, because they are the same people who went to the government and begged for them to be allowed to open back, and they agreed that they will help in following these measures in their different establishments. But they are the ones who are not even making sure that anybody who is coming into their restaurants or their bars or their clubs are adhering to these measures. The places were packed to capacity. There was no social distancing. Of course, people are drinking and all that, so even wearing a mask is just out of question there. And so we just wondered, so if you were, I heard the CS ask, now if you pleaded with the government to allow you to open these businesses, because we understand the restrictions really caused a huge, a dent in that industry particularly. And so a lot of people were affected, businesses are closing down, people lost their jobs. So you went ahead and you pleaded with the government to please allow you to open, and you will follow the procedures and the measures that have been put in place. But you're the same people who are allowing these measures to be flaunted in your different establishments, and now you're putting the government in a very difficult situation, because we understand the economy has to go on. But even with that, we're not living in our normal time. So if you are not meeting your part of the bargain of ensuring that the measures are observed in your establishments, then I think you'll just have yourselves to blame. Because as we look at the way things are going now, should the government be forced to, through the Ministry of Health, to reinstate some of these stringent measures, then the businesses are going to suffer. People are going to lose their jobs again, and the economy is going to suffer, and a lot of people are going to be affected. So we don't want that to happen. But now, if things continue happening the way they are, then the government might not be left with a lot of options. And I think we have to be responsible. I don't know what is wrong with Kenyans when you look at these news items, and others even believe that the COVID-19 is not there. I took a taxi visit yesterday, and this guy, his mask was somewhere down here under his chin, and I told him, you know what, for me to enter your car, you have to put that mask on properly. And he was like, I don't think COVID-19 is here in Kenya. I don't know somebody who has been affected by COVID-19. I mean, the money was taken and all that, and I told him this thing is actually very real, and if you're not very careful, you will be the one, catching it because you work in a taxi industry. You carry different people in this car. So if you're not very careful, you don't want to find it out for yourselves, because you've seen cases around the country and people continue to die. And now we see even the ICUs that the patients there had reduced right now. They're becoming full. And now we'll start looking for other places to treat these severe cases. Kenyans, we don't want it to escalate to that point. We have to be careful. We have to look after ourselves. You have to be mindful of the other person. When you take care of yourself, you're taking care of your children, you're taking care of your brother, your sister, your mother, your neighbor. By wearing that mask, I think it's the most effective way of containing COVID-19. If everything else fails, the mask has to be on. And I think it is mandatory right now. That has not been lifted. So I don't know why we're walking around as if that part of the measure has been lifted. A mask is a must when you're out there in public. And I think when it comes to the house parties and all that, those measures have been thrown out into caution. Nobody cares. So people have just gone ahead, and we see a lot of reunions and house parties and birthdays and weddings and all that. I mean, it's all good, but if you can do it with some caution to ensure that we are safe and everybody around us is safe, I think it will go a long way in ensuring that we reduce the figures and the numbers there when it comes to COVID-19. Of course, the political rallies are not helping. You've seen these gatherings that have attracted a lot of people. Is not helping at all in fighting COVID-19. It just beats all the efforts that have been put in place. And I wish our politicians from all sides will just understand, we're not helping. We're not helping, because if the government is asking for us to do this, and yet the leaders are the ones who are going ahead and leading in breaking these rules, it does not make sense at all. So let's be responsible. This is an appeal to all our political leaders who have been fond of flaunting these rules and attracting and having meetings that attract so many of Kenyans. Of course, Kenyans will come there. They will come there and they will not think that they need even to wear masks. So it's up to you to lead from the front as a leader. So even if you're coming to this meeting, can you please ensure you have your mask on? Can you ensure that at least you keep some distance? But you know what? That might not be possible. But I think our leaders should learn to be responsible and lead from the front. And that's how people are able to follow. All right? So that is something that Kenyans now need to worry about. And of course, on the front pages of the Star newspaper, Dr. Matsanga shall be joining in a short bit. In case you're wondering, they shall be joining me. And just looking at the headlines of the leading newspapers in Kenya this morning. And we started with the Star newspaper. And the headline on the Star newspaper says, BBI gender plan, counties to pick 47 women senators. Idea is to achieve parity without passing extra burden to taxpayer. And yesterday I was having a conversation with a woman lawyer from FIDA. And I was just asking about the 2/3 gender rule. And I was just asking her, how is this even viable in the Kenyan context and with the way we know the nature of our politics? And she was saying, of course, I don't want to say because she comes from FIDA, so she has to be passionate about women empowerment and all that and women issues. But she said, our politicians, our members of parliament, they had several options. And if there was a will for them to pass this, there were ways they could have gone around it and actually made sure that this part of the law was passed. So now there seems to be a solution here in the BBI agenda plan. So up there it says 2/3 rule, each county to elect one man and one woman. Okay, and that is just one of the things that lawyer there suggested. So let's see how this will work out, because we know this has left the country and even Parliament in a very tricky position there after the Chief Justice advised President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve Parliament because as it is right now, our Parliament is illegally constituted. We don't meet the constitutional threshold of having a 2/3 gender rule there in Parliament. So that means it's illegal if you were to go by the Constitution. So the CJ Maraga advised President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve Parliament. Well, that was challenged, and of course the High Court thwarted that advice. So let's see how the BBI wants to solve this problem, or is proposing that this could be a solution. The story is on page 4 of the Star newspaper. I'll just read a bit of it so that we're able to understand the context on the perspective coming from the BBI team. Now, Kenyans will vote for 94 senators in 2002 general election. Okay. Immediately my mind goes to wage bill, right? And general election to cure the 2/3 gender rule headache, according to sources private to the Building Bridges Initiative proposals. In the yet to be released report, the Senate will be composed of 1 man and 1 woman elected in each of the 47 counties. All right. And the Chief Justice, David Maraga, has advised President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve Parliament for failing to implement the 2/3 gender rule. The matter is pending in court. Now, insiders say the proposed Senate composition is geared towards solving the gender equation as it affects the entire Parliament, not just the National Assembly. The BBI reportedly proposes mixed representation in the National Assembly, where 290 members of Parliament will be elected on first past the post basis. I don't even know what that means. First past the post basis, but we shall find out. An additional 63 seats will be allocated based on actual votes cast per county, thereby increasing National Assembly members to 353. What? Now, this means the more people will vote in an election, the higher the chances that they will get the seats allocated to the county. Now, it will be based on party lists, and people will be voting for parties. Those with a party that has got more votes in terms of the vote for MCAs all the way to the president in a county will get the allocated seats. This will help us realize gender representation in Parliament. Oh, that's quite interesting. And I think I will not even get so much into this conversation. We shall talk about this when Doctor arrives here. But on the side there, still on the Star newspaper on page 5, it says the constitution in Kenya can be amended, of course, through a referendum or what is referred to as a popular initiative or parliamentary process. And I think the PBI should be agreed upon, because the second part, the second version of the draft has not been released to public yet, so we're waiting for that. But at the end of the day, Kenyans will have the opportunity to vote, because a lot of the things that are meant to be changed there in the constitution requires people's participation through a referendum. There are things that you cannot just change through a parliamentary process. So that means Kenyans will have to decide, and the only way Kenyans get to decide is through a popular initiative, through going to a referendum, or Kenyans deciding, do we agree, do we adopt this BBI, do we change this part of the law or not? That will be left for Kenyans there to decide. And on the side there, I see gender rule must be applied to elective positions. That is a commentary by Denita Gihati. So if you want to know what that talks about, just go get yourself a copy of the Star newspaper. So now here we go. On the side there of the Star newspaper, DP Ruto, I don't care who leads electoral process. Now, Deputy President William Ruto on Sunday said 2022 election outcome will be decided by voters and not the chairman of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Okay, I want to believe that is what has been happening, the voters. Oh no, DP Ruto, what are you saying? But let's continue. Speaking in Embu Town, Ruto said he has no problem with whoever will be leading the IEBC. He said the election result will be decided by Kenyans and not the chairman or the commissioners of the electoral agency. Okay, so the story is on page 6 of the Star newspaper. DP, Dr. William Ruto, what are you saying? I thought Kenyans have been the ones deciding all along, no? Okay, so let's just read part of that and understand what our deputy president yesterday. Of course, he had a rally there in Embu. So speaking in Embu Town, Ruto said he has no problem with whoever will be leading the IEBC. He said the election result will be decided by Kenyans and not the chairman or the commissioners of the electoral agency. Anyone can assume the leadership of the commission. We are ready and have confidence in our independent institutions, Ruto said. He was addressing Wananchi in the company of more than 30 members of parliament after attending press services. Ruto said he did not care who became the chairman or the commissioners of the IEBC. He's quoted as saying they can fix any chairman or commissioner they want for the IEBC, but they must accept the outcome of the results. Tharaka-Nithi Senator Kithure Kindiki said those against Ruto's 2022 dreams can appoint whoever they prefer. But they cannot stop an idea whose time has come. This is the time for ordinary Kenyans to define their future by having a leadership that is pro-poor. All right, there we see also the politics of class coming into play, and the story, of course, is on page 6 of the Star newspaper. And on page 7 there, I see journalists attacked at DP Ruto event in Meru. Tigania West Member of Parliament John Mutunga's personal assistant Jacob Ngeene roughed up Royal Media Services scribe Mainda Fasi. So that story is on page 7 there of the Star newspaper. Professor, good morning, and if you can just adjust your headroom, that would be nice. I don't know if Professor can hear me. All right, as we wait for Professor there to adjust and to join us, we turn our attention now to the Standard newspaper, and the headlines there say, the main headlines say, DCI and spy agency may soon control Harambes. Okay. Cornered, that's what it says. For a long time, chaos has ruled the conduct of fundraisers, from money laundering to bouncing checks and misuse of proceeds. Now MPs want to bury this mess, but will they succeed? And I don't know when NAC government came into power, because we know during Moi's time, Harambes were the order of the day. I think that was banned, if I'm not very wrong. And so if you wanted to conduct a fundraiser, the process changed. But we see now we've gone back to the days of Moi, and that was stopped. The Harambes sort of were nibbed. So now we've gone back to where we used to be during Moi's time. So now apparently the DCI and the spy agency are saying they may soon control the Harambes. I don't know how that will sit, especially the section of politicians in this country. So let's see how the DCI plans to do that. The story is on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. Now, the National Intelligence Services, NIS, and Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, will now vet the process Harambee applications if proposals tabled in Parliament pass through. Oh, it is a bill in Parliament. Now, the two security organs are members of the County Policing Authority that will also investigate any complaints, misuse of funds, or any issue relating to conduct of public collections. The body, created under Section 41 of the National Police Service Act, will also audit such monies to catch people stealing Harambee collections or using such functions to launder illegally acquired funds. Okay, that makes sense, right? Now, other members of the team are the county governor, 2 elected members nominated by the county assembly, the chairperson of the County Security Committee, and at least 6 other members appointed by the governor from various community groups. Now, if the DCI and the NIS were just going to do this by themselves, I think that would have been fantastic. But when you start drawing in these politicians in there, we know a lot of politics will come into play, and now and other issues that might mar the whole, the purity of the whole process there. So I don't know if it's a good idea to have the county governor and 2 other elected members nominated by the county assembly. I don't know if it will be a good idea to have that, the DCI and the NIS, when they want to vet the process of Harambee applications. I don't know if it will be a good idea to involve the politicians into this. I don't know if it's a good idea. Professor, good morning. All right, so Professor is still setting up there. When he's able to join us, then we shall have him here. And so I don't know. Let me know what you think. The DCI and the NIS, they're saying now they'll vet the process Harambee applications if proposals tabled in Parliament will pass through. The DCI and NIS, I think they're best fit to do that. But when you start bringing the governors and everybody else on board, I think it will be a load. I don't know the process. Professor, a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good, and you?
I'm very fantastic, and welcome to the show. So I was just looking at the news making headlines this morning, and we're looking at the leading newspapers in the country, and we are on the Standard. And what I was looking at is the main headline on the Standard newspaper, where now the National Intelligence Service, NIS, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, is that's another body that I don't even know, will now vet and process Harambee applications if proposals tabled in Parliament pass through. Now, two security organs are members of the County Policing Authority that will also investigate any complaints, misuse of funds, or any issue relating to conduct of public collections. Now, the body created under the Section 41 of the National Police Service Act will also audit such monies to catch people stealing Harambee collections or using such functions to launder illegally acquired funds. So up to there, I think that makes sense to me. I don't know. So, but other members of the team also include the county governor. I think this is where now maybe I'm a bit confused, because if the NIS and the DCI are handling these matters, and they'll be vetting these Harambes and ensuring the money that was collected and was intended for a certain purpose will do that, and also they want to make sure that people who are bringing these monies to these Harambes, they're not using such functions for money laundering and things like that. I think that should be left to the police. But bringing in the governors, will that not start some politics there that might mar the whole process?
Yeah, Miriam, that is a good law, and those are proposals. They will be subjected to public participation. And if we feel that the governors are not supposed to sit there, we'll give our views. Because Harambes have been used for cleansing money, for cleaning money which has been gotten by illegally, through money laundering, through corruption. So, Miriam, that will be a good law to take our country forward. Apart from the compensation, I don't know why the governors are coming in. I think they are not supposed to be there. They should be left to an independent body to investigate and find out if the money is used properly. Because to be very sure, Miriam, money meant for Harambee has been mishandled, misused, mismanaged. We have had cases where these politicians they go there, they give 10 million, and then they go back to tell them if it was a charge, the church leadership. You would announce 10 million, and then you return 6. So 4 remains in the church. So the entire public, Miriam, knows it is 10 million. And in the legal sense, it was not 10 million. So, Miriam, to me, from where I see it, that's a good law.
It is a good law.
Mm.
All right. And so on the same note, the MP for Ndaragwa, Jeremiah Kioni, is quoted as saying, "The Harambee spirit is being misused and abused despite it being of great help in moving our country forward. That money is never audited," which is true, makes sense. And Halima Mucheke, a nominated member of parliament, said the spirit of fundraising has been abused. Some fundraise for luxurious lifestyles which are unfair for the ones contributing. So they're saying there has not been accountability. And Peter Kaluma, member of parliament for Homa Bay Town, said the bill is not forbidding fundraising as an idea through which we marshal resources to help the needy in the community. So what they're saying is we're just trying to make sure that the monies that are being brought here, number one, is legal money. People can actually account from where it is coming from. And number two, we are ensuring accountability. But if you're coming here to build a school, or you're coming here to build a hospital or a church, then the money will be, because also they mentioned a part there. They're saying there are people who come there and write, checks that really bounce. So they're saying we'll be protecting. If somebody says they're giving 10 million, as you're saying, then we will ensure that that money was delivered and it was the intended purpose. It meant the intended purpose. So it's just about accountability, which I think it's a good thing, and I don't think, or maybe a part of the politicians will start saying this is which hand. Will we see some?
Even these days when we contribute money to WhatsApp, don't you see that they say Miriam has given this, Jared has given this, so and so has given that? This is the total.
Accountability.
And sometimes that's one way of accountability, because if I send money to you, I've seen some cases where some money is sent, and then you see the person says, I sent the money and my name is not on the list. So it is possible that if it is going to promote transparency and accountability, Miriam, that's great.
All right. Very
money
well.
meant for a certain cause must go and do that cause. Should not be diverted to go and do other things, or for personal gain.
All right, so down there on the Standard newspaper, rivals hit ground in BBI battle build-up a day after Uhuru met parliamentary leadership MPs. Allied to Uhuru and Raila hit the campaign trail to sell the Building Bridges initiative as DP Ruto and his allies traversed Embu, setting the stage to oppose it. So we see there Deputy President William Ruto was at the same meeting with the president. I think just a few days ago. Was it on Friday? Which was on Friday there in Manyani. I don't know if Kenyans expected anything different after that meeting. He on the weekend he went back to the campaign trail.
Miriam, I have said there before, and I will continue saying, Miriam, in a home, the father is saying this, the mother are saying this. Some children are following the mom. Some children are following the dad. Tell me how that home will be. Honestly, be very, very honest and very sincere. How will that home be? The mom says this, the other children opposes, the dad opposes. So Miriam, from where I sit, I will continue to urge the Deputy President to have soul searching. This is not what we elected him and the President to do. They must be reading from the same script. Because if anything which is being done to bring this country together, we must be able to divorce politics, Miriam. We must be able to divorce propaganda. And if he thinks that he cannot be able to support the president, whom they were elected together, it is high time, Miriam, then we release him to go and concentrate in his 2022 general election campaign. Why am I making this kind of remark? You know, sometimes he speaks, and you wonder whether he's the deputy president of this country. We are not making positions for anybody, Miriam. Even if positions are going to be created, Kenyans are going to decide who sits on those positions. I don't know whether they have got selective memory. Sometimes where their memory elapses. I associate myself with the remarks of the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. He said that this idea that we are going for the election and people feel what will happen to me after the election. So the election becomes a do or die. So we are trying to say that let us come with laws. We go for an elections. You have got no fear. You have got nothing to fear. Like the previous constitution we had before we repealed it, the leader for the opposition used to sit in parliament. Miriam, you don't expect someone who has got support of 8 million and the president has got 8.6, something like that. And then the one for 8 million is just, he doesn't have an office, he doesn't have work to do. Miriam doesn't work. So we need to have our laws. And about Miriam, believe me, we are making an office for William Ruto because I'm sure he will be in the opposition.
All right.
He will have work to do. So I let no any Kenyan have any fear. Let PPI report come out, Miriam. Let us look at it objectively. And I agree with what Musalia Mudavadi says, that let us not have a divisive referendum. Let us look at it. We say this is good, this is good, this is good. Then those few ones which we are going to have a contest, then perhaps what we subject to a referendum. What we have agreed, we pass for taking the country forward.
All right.
So the Tanga side of the deputy president, Miriam, let them just fair. We want to take this country forward.
Right, thank you so much, Professor. Right now we have to cut our review short, but I think we've gone through the leading newspapers because we have to turn our attention to CAST TV, where Dr. Matsanga is right now, and we shall be streaming that live. So we shall just go straight and have that live interview there Dr. Matsanga is having on one of the other television stations across the country. If you are ready, then you will let me know. All right. So we shall see you soon.